Welcome to Science God. I am your host, OblivionCocoon. On this channel, we question everything from the creation of the cosmos to the nature of the Creator himself. As I believe, religion offers man a purpose, but science grants him the power to pursue it. Some ask if religion and science are truly opposed. And I say yes, they are. But only in the way that your thumb and finger are opposed, and together you can grasp everything. Today I want to talk about this amazing book by Mark Twain called The Mysterious Stranger. This book was never officially released during his lifetime. It was discovered and published after his death. Mark Twain kept revising it, changing characters, removing chapters, and altering the plot right up until the end of his life. Eventually it was compiled and it was made available to the public. It's a pretty short read, but it's really incredibly thought-provoking and well worth your time. I recently read it, and it really is truly amazing. You can even find the audio book for free on YouTube. It's only about a 5-hour listen. But there's a specific reason I want to talk about this book, which I'll get to, but first let me set the stage. The Mysterious Stranger is set in the 16th century in Austria. And it was written by Mark Twain sometime between 1890 and 1902. The story begins with 3 boys playing in the woods when this mysterious stranger appears. The stranger is strikingly beautiful. He's well-dressed and oddly charming. He casually joins the boys and mentions that he's just there to hang out. Nothing suspicious about that, of course. One of the boys thinks to himself, wow, I'm really cold. And as if the mysterious stranger is reading their minds, he says, you're cold? I'll light you a fire then. And then he blows on this extinguished fireplace and it just instantly lights into flames. The boys are stunned and asked him to show them more. And he agrees on one condition, that they have to promise not to be afraid or tell anybody about him. He then scoops up some dirt and mixes it with water and forms these tiny little figures. Little people, horses, and even a dove. He then breathes life into them, and they start moving and interacting, and the little mini people even build themselves a castle to live in. When the boys ask him his name, the stranger replies, Satan. But then he quickly clarifies that he's not the Satan. That's his uncle. This Satan is claiming to be an angel. As the story unfolds, Satan shows the boys more miraculous feats. But his indifference towards human life becomes apparent. For instance, when two of the tiny little people that he created started fighting, Satan just casually smashes them with his hand, killing them instantly, and then wipes the blood off as if it's nothing. The boys are horrified, of course, but Satan remains unmoved. Throughout the story, Satan bestows gifts upon them all, like money. But it always leads to some sort of disaster. For example, at one point he leaves a wallet with a really large sum of money to be found by this pastor, because the pastor really needed money for his church. But then it eventually led the pastor, to be put in jail due to false accusations of stealing. The tale is narrated by one of the boys, Theodore, who recounts his surreal adventure with Satan, including travels to far-off lands. But over time, Satan's visits become less frequent, and eventually he tells young Theodore that he's leaving for good. Now I just want to review the final chapter, which I have done a video for already, because this is where it gets really interesting. Theodore asks, are you going away, Satan? You won't come back anymore? And Satan replies, yes, that we've been companions for a long time, and it's been good, but he's got to go. He's got investigations in other parts of the universe. And then Theodore says, well, will I see you again? And Satan says, no. Not in this life. And Theodore says, well, surely maybe in another life. This is where it gets really terrifying. Satan says, there is no other. He says that there is no world, that he's just a dream. He's just a thought floating in empty space, and that nothing's real. God, the universe, the stars, the moon, the planet, it's all a dream. And that you're not real. You have no body, you have no bones, you have no blood. And Satan says he's not even real. He's just a figment of Theodore's imagination. But Theodore is the creator of his own imagination. And Satan says to just dream other dreams. Dream better dreams. Because, frankly, this world is clearly a dream because it's hysterically insane. The story ends with Satan fading away. And he just leaves young Theodore there, all alone. Truly terrifying. Of course, that is what Satan would want. If Satan is real, and if God is real, then of course Satan would want you to believe that God is not real. Perhaps that's the most evil thing Satan could get somebody to believe. Anyways, the reason I mention this is, before I read this book, I kind of had this impression that most older literature was kind of outdated and irrelevant. Because Mark Twain wrote this over 125 years ago. And it's still incredibly relevant. I find it amazing. In 1999, the movie The Matrix came out. And the concept of the Matrix is that, we all live in a computer simulation, which is actually a very, very old philosophical idea. Descartes was a big proponent of that we must exist because we're thinking. But he said we could be a brain in a vat, just a brain in a jar somewhere, no body, but you are a thought at least. So it's a pretty old idea. And then the Matrix just introduced the concept to computers. And nowadays there's a theory called simulation theory that says that in the future computers are going to be so strong, so powerful, that they're going to be able to simulate the past with almost total accuracy. And the characters in the simulation are going to be so realistic, and the simulation is going to be so realistic that it's going to be indistinguishable from reality. Anyways, that's why I think this is so relevant today, and it's definitely a timeless book, and you should definitely give it a read if you're interested. If you enjoy philosophical and existential storytelling, you're going to love this book. And since it's so old, it's in the public domain, so you can easily find it for free all over the place. But let's be honest, that last monologue by Satan is truly terrifying. It's like the ultimate villain speech. His critique of God. How God could have created happy children but chose to not ever let a single one be happy. God could have made good children but preferred to make bad ones. It's a pretty interesting idea. Of course, it is a lie of Satan. And then after all that, God creates you bad and then expects you to still worship him, which is, wow, really profoundly evil, twisted idea to get you to believe that not only the world's not real, but God is not real. But I suppose God created Satan for that reason? To deceive us? Or that is Satan's job, is what I'm trying to say. But here's the twist of the whole story, is that Satan isn't really even the villain in this story. He's more like a guide leading Theodore and his friends through this extraordinary experience while remaining detached from human morality. It's interesting that Mark Twain wrote this towards the end of his life, and he didn't even get to publish it. I think he was dealing with his own mortality as he approached his own death. But Mark Twain really is a master storyteller, and in my opinion, The Mysterious Stranger ranks among some of the best stories ever written. I think it even surpasses Shakespeare and Plato, even though Plato wasn't a fiction writer. So, anyways, give it a read if you're interested. Thank you. God bless you. Science God, out.